In the quiet town of Ravenbrook, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, stood St. Agnes Hospital, a towering structure that had seen decades of births, deaths, and everything in between. The building's facade exuded an eerie charm, with its aged bricks and flickering lights. At night, the hospital's windows glowed with an otherworldly hue, casting long shadows that seemed to dance in the moonlight. The legend of St. Agnes Hospital had always been shrouded in mystery. Locals whispered of strange occurrences, phantom cries echoing through empty hallways, chilling drafts that seemed to have no source, and tales of patients checking in but never checking out. Yet, the hospital remained operational, catering to those who had no other place to turn. Emily, a young nurse new to Ravenbrook, couldn't ignore the unsettling atmosphere that permeated the hospital. On her first night shift, she was assigned to the night ward, a wing known for its unsettling silence. As the clock struck midnight, Emily's unease grew. Faint footsteps echoed in the corridor outside her ward, but when she investigated, she found no one. Over the course of her shifts, Emily began to notice oddities that sent shivers down her spine. Patients would stare at empty corners of the room, eyes wide with terror. Equipment malfunctioned without explanation, casting eerie shadows that seemed to twist and contort. Emily's colleagues dismissed her concerns, chalking them up to tiredness and stress. One fateful night, Emily received an emergency call from the basement, the hospital's most dreaded area. She descended into the bowels of the building, her heart racing as she navigated the dimly lit corridors. A flickering light led her to a room where a solitary patient lay on a rusted gurney, his face obscured by bandages. He beckoned her closer, his voice a hoarse whisper. "Help me," he pleaded. "They're still here, trapped between life and death." Emily's heart pounded as she listened to the man's haunting tale. He explained that a series of experiments had gone horribly wrong decades ago, leaving spirits trapped within the hospital's walls. These tormented souls sought to claim the living, using any means necessary to break free from their spectral prison. Doubt and terror gnawed at Emily's sanity, but her determination to uncover the truth overpowered her fear. She delved into the hospital's history, unearthing records of unethical experiments conducted by a sinister doctor. The spirit's pain and anguish seeped into her dreams, leaving her sleep-deprived and on the brink of madness. As Emily's investigation deepened, the hospital's malevolent presence intensified. Patients reported seeing apparitions wandering the halls, their hollow eyes fixated on the living. Emily's colleagues grew distant, leaving her isolated and vulnerable. Desperation gripped her as she realized that escaping the hospital's grasp would be nearly impossible. One moonless night, as Emily wandered the seemingly endless corridors, the spirits manifested before her, twisted, tormented figures with contorted features and hollow eyes. Their whispers filled the air, a cacophony of suffering that threatened to consume her. In a final act of defiance, Emily confronted the malevolent doctor's ghost in the basement, armed with nothing but her determination. The showdown between the living and the dead raged through the night, the hospital itself seeming to come alive with supernatural energy. Emily's courage and empathy proved to be her greatest weapons as she unraveled the doctor's dark secrets, helping the trapped spirits find peace. As dawn broke, the hospital's atmosphere shifted, the malevolent presence lifting like a heavy fog. In the aftermath, St. Agnes Hospital underwent a transformation. Its walls, once haunted by suffering, were cleansed by Emily's bravery. The building itself seemed to sigh in relief, as if grateful to be rid of its dark past. The townspeople, unaware of the horrors that had transpired, marveled at the hospital's newfound serenity. Yet, for Emily, the memories of that fateful ordeal would forever linger. As she left Ravenbrook behind, she couldn't shake the feeling that the hospital's shadow still clung to her, a reminder that sometimes the line between the living and the dead is much thinner than we dare to believe. In the quiet, fog-shrouded town of Ravenswood, the abandoned hospital loomed ominously at the edge of the woods. Once a place of healing, it had fallen into disrepair, its corridors echoing with the ghostly whispers of a bygone era. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the windows, a group of curious teenagers dared each other to explore the forsaken facility. Sarah, the brave yet skeptical one, led the way, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. Mark, the joker of the group, cracked uneasy jokes, trying to mask his own unease. Emily, the bookish one, held her ancient book of supernatural lore close, seeking comfort in its worn pages. Finally, there was Chris, the daredevil, who couldn't resist the thrill of the unknown. The air inside the hospital was frigid, despite the summer night outside. They cautiously moved through the first floor, the sound of their footsteps echoing eerily through the empty rooms. The scent of decay mixed with the faintest trace of antiseptic. As they ventured deeper, the atmosphere grew oppressive, as if the very walls held the memories of suffering and despair. The group reached the morgue, its cold metal tables standing as silent witnesses to the tragedies that had once unfolded here. Mark, trying to break the tension, lay down on one of the tables, pretending to be a patient. But his laughter was cut short when the metal slab seemed to groan beneath him, as if protesting his irreverence. The others laughed nervously, but their unease grew. They decided to explore the basement, where rumors of dark experiments and secret passages abounded. The stairwell led them to a dimly lit corridor, and they heard faint whispers carried by the wind. Emily, with her book in hand, began to recite an incantation she believed would protect them from any malevolent spirits that might be lurking. As her words echoed through the corridor, the atmosphere grew even more oppressive. As they explored deeper into the basement, they came across a door that seemed to beckon them. The air grew thick with tension as they pushed it open, revealing a room filled with rusty surgical equipment and tattered patient records. The room seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and the shadows cast by their flashlights danced ominously on the walls. Suddenly, a chilling breeze swept through the room, extinguishing their flashlights and plunging them into total darkness. Panic set in as they fumbled to relight their flashlights, their breaths coming in shallow gasps. When the lights flickered back on, they found themselves face to face with a figure in a tattered hospital gown, its hollow eyes fixed on them. The figure let out an anguished moan, and the walls of the hospital seemed to tremble in response. Sarah, the brave one, felt an icy hand on her shoulder, and she screamed, breaking the spell of fear that had held them all. They bolted for the exit, not daring to look back. As they stumbled out of the hospital, they could hear the distant sound of sirens approaching. The town had caught wind of their trespassing. But as they looked back one final time, they saw the hospital's windows glowing with an eerie light, as if the spirits trapped within were celebrating their escape. To this day, the hospital remains a place of legends in Ravenswood. Locals whisper about the cursed souls that haunt its halls, warning others never to venture too close, for those who do may never return. In the heart of the town, shrouded in mist and mystery, stood St. Margaret's Hospital. Its towering facade cast long shadows on the surrounding streets, an ominous silhouette against the moonlit sky. People spoke in hushed tones about the hospital, whispering tales of unexplained happenings within its walls. One fateful night, Emily, a young and curious journalist, decided to investigate the rumors. Armed with a flashlight and a determined spirit, she entered the hospital, her footsteps echoing eerily in the empty corridors. The air was heavy with an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional creak of ancient floorboards. As Emily ventured deeper, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Flickering lights cast dancing shadows on the peeling wallpaper, making the hospital seem like a place forgotten by time itself. The air grew colder, and Emily's breath fogged up as she exhaled. In a dimly lit hallway, Emily stumbled upon a door ajar. Hesitating only briefly, she pushed it open to reveal a room that seemed frozen in a macabre tableau. Medical instruments lay scattered on tables, covered in a thick layer of dust. A lone gurney stood in the center, its restraints dangling ominously. The sound of distant footsteps echoed through the hallway, quickening Emily's heartbeat. She pressed on, driven by a mixture of curiosity and dread. Turning a corner, she came face to face with a flickering monitor, its erratic blips and beeps creating an unsettling symphony. The monitor displayed vital signs that defied logic: heartbeats without bodies, pulses without life. A sudden draft extinguished Emily's flashlight, plunging her into darkness. Panic surged through her veins as unseen whispers seemed to encircle her. She fumbled for her flashlight, the beam revealing fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures that vanished as soon as the light touched them. Desperate to escape, Emily followed the dim glow of an exit sign, only to find herself in an abandoned operating theater. The operating table lay stained and tattered, a chilling reminder of the hospital's gruesome past. The walls seemed to close in as Emily's breath quickened. A voice, hollow and distant, whispered her name from the shadows. "Emily!" It hissed. She spun around, her flashlight revealing a flickering image of a figure in a blood-stained lab coat. Its hollow eyes bore into her soul, and she felt a cold hand grasp her shoulder. With a scream, Emily tore herself away and ran, her footsteps echoing through the winding corridors. The hospital seemed to come alive around her, the walls shifting and distorting, leading her deeper into a labyrinth of terror. Whispers grew louder, filling her ears with chilling warnings and malevolent laughter. Finally, Emily burst through the hospital's main doors, gasping for breath as the moonlight embraced her. She stumbled onto the pavement, her heart pounding in her chest. As she looked back at the hospital, it seemed to shimmer in the moonlight before fading into obscurity, leaving her to wonder if it had ever existed at all. Years later, the tale of St. Margaret's Hospital still haunts the town's residents. No one dares to approach the place, fearing the darkness that lies within its walls. And Emily, scarred by her encounter, can never shake the feeling that something from that night still lingers, waiting to draw her back into its terrifying embrace.